Hello, you Generation 1 Transformer fans. Sparkster1701 here today, and I've got a special Transformer to show off for you today. This is the Autobot Aerial Assault character, Whirl. Whirl was available in 1985 and 1986, and he was discontinued in 1987, and we really didn't get a replacement for him. Whirl is a special robot in the Transformer line, as he was one of them, like like his fellow companion Roadbuster, also released that year, who was not a Takara released toy. He is actually from Bandai, and a special license had to be gained by Hasbro to use Whirl, to include Whirl in the Transformer toy line. And as such, because of the terms of that deal, they could not include him in the comic books or the cartoon, as Takara was also using those to help promote the Transformer toy line in Japan. As far as articulation goes on our friend Whirl here, he's got quite a fair bit, and most of it unfortunately has deteriorated with use. His arms are on a ball joint, so his arms can rotate all the way around, but due to the fact that they're also using his transformation, it does tend to make them loose, and sometimes he can't hold his arms straight up. That one he can, but this one here won't stay up. He does have articulation at his hips, so his legs can stretch out, but he does not have any articulation at the knee, but he does have some degree at the ankle. Whirl's a rather fragile toy, and the most commonly found damaged on him is this little tiny antenna here on the top of his head. I'm in for your close-up, Whirl. This antenna here is very often found bent or even completely broken off, so if you're looking for a loose Whirl on the market, make sure he has his antenna. And also check around his eye here, as sometimes it does get damaged from improper transformation or just some rough fights on the playground. Transforming Whirl is pretty simple for a larger Autobot. First thing we have to do, of course, is to remove him of his weapons that are attached to his leg and get the one that's mounted on his hand. Alright, next thing we do is to make sure that the claws that are his hands are pushed back in. It was done so already on this one because he can't have it out and hold his weapon. Make sure also, fold down the antenna. Reach here and separate the back piece and fold it all the way up. Keep the head mounted inside there. It will wiggle out. Push the arms together. Close them up. And then rotate them on their ball joints so that this protrusion here rests inside that notch. Of course, rotate it so it's facing this way. So it's got the intakes in the right direction. Then fold the landing skis of his feet straight up this way so they point towards the body. Collapse his legs in. And then just fold them over. And then separate his rotor. And lastly as well, pull out his tail section. You gotta imagine, loose Whirls, their arms aren't going to stay in the position that they're supposed to due to constant stress from transforming, so bear with me on this one. But let's push him back a little bit so you can see him here. There's Whirl in his alternate mode, and he does have a couple of separate weapons right here that can be mounted right here on these fins. Doesn't really matter which one goes where. This is kind of the standard form that he has. And there you go. Whirl is an attack helicopter, which bears some resemblance to an H-64 Apache helicopter. Correction, I stand correct on that. He's not to resemble the Apache. He resembles more the AH-1 Cobra helicopter. Whirl is based from a Japanese animated series known as Dorvac, and he was supposed to be known as the Oberon Gazette. But no matter how you look at him, he still looks kind of sleek and futuristic, and even with the flaws of his toy gradually wearing out, he does look kind of impressive. And as you might have figured, the rotor does twist, both up there and one in the back. Now let's take a look at Whirl's instruction manual, and this was done in the typical style of the instructions from 1985. So they have now switched over from being full color to black and white, only using red or purple to help indicate their faction, along with the appropriate insignia. Whirl here is described as Heroic Autobot. We move here and we see all of his pieces. This shows how to set up his helicopter right outside of the box, and then to start transforming him into the robot. Please feel free to pause the video if you wish to read over the instructions. And lastly, we come to his multiple sticker pages. He had quite a few stickers to put on him. More than what you would expect from a 1985 toy. And then here on the last page we have instructions on how to use the heat-sensitive label, which was new to the Transformer line in 1985. Also shows about collecting the robot points on the back of the packages, and how to use the tech spec decoder. Now normally at this point, I know many of you viewers are used to seeing me show off the tech specs. But instead, this time, instead of showing you the actual tech specs, I have a bigger treat for you. We have Whirl's actual box. Not the best of shape, but what can you say? Right here we have a deal. Get this up close. We have a good picture of Whirl, and that's the space. That's the window you would have seen him inside. I don't have the inner packaging for it, so up here on the top they have sort of quickie instructions that were common on all of them. Packages trim shown off in the red color to indicate he's an Autobot, and says down here, Autobot Aerial Assault Whirl. The sides of the box just basically showed him in robot and vehicle mode. It's like that on both sides, and shown again here on the bottom. On the back side of the box, this up so you can get a good look at it, it was a battle scene that they put on all the toys from 1985 to highlight some of the new ones that were being done. Like the Dinobots and the Insecticons are pretty common on here. But you can also see a red version of Trax. Let's zoom in there so you can see it. You can see that's a red version of Trax. There's Jetfire, and up at the top is Shockwave. Now we'll take a good look down here at Whirl's tech spec. As you can see, it was printed on the back of the box. Gives his faction as Autobot, and his name is Whirl. Function is aerial assault. His quote is, "If used logically, madness makes a great weapon." Loves his job, careens across sky, spinning and weaving wild, crazy patterns. Believes enemies are more terrified of him if he acts wild during an attack. Flies at 400 miles per hour, range 1600 miles. Amazing maneuverability, can fly at almost any angle. Carries 4 incendiary shell cannons, high-energy proton beam rifle. Great strength as a robot, has null ray module on hand, paralyzo box on leg. Reckless, prone to rotor blade damage. And now we just lay the decoder here over the grid, and we can see here that he's listed as having strength of 8, so that kind of goes well with what it says here. His intelligence is also 8, as is his speed and endurance. His rank, however, is 6. His courage is up to a 9. His firepower is at 8, and his skill is also at 8. So his bio does do a pretty good job of accurately describing him. Although, believing that the enemy's more terrified of him if he acts wild. What do you think, fans? A helicopter flying at 400 miles an hour acting crazy? Wouldn't you also be scared? Now let's take a quick look at Whirl's accessories, and he only has 4. We'll start here with these first 2 weapons are his robot weapons. This first one right here. This is his Null Ray module. Remember, for those of you that are into the lore, Null Rays are the kind of cannons that Starscream uses. But unlike the little mini gun, like the little machine guns that Starscream has attached to his arms, Whirl has it attached to his hand. The only thing you might want to watch out for is to make sure that this little antenna is undamaged. As you can imagine, this is very thin, but it is on there pretty sturdy. Still, be careful with how you store it, because it could be warped easily. Then there's also his leg-mounted weapon, the Paralyzo box. This is what it looks like when it's facing you. And this just slides over the one fin through that hole there. Nothing really fancy to look forward to on this thing. And then you've got the 2 weapons for the helicopter. This here is his shell cannon, which kind of looks more like the various miniguns that you see on a helicopter gunship. For those of you looking to buy a loose Whirl on the aftermarket, check to make sure that it has this plastic flap on the top of it, as that can be broken off pretty easily if you're not careful, as I had found out. The same is true here on his on his photon beam rifle here. These 2, my original Whirl had these 2 pieces, had these 2 clips here on the top broken off, which meant Whirl could only just barely hold on to it in his helicopter mode. So if you're looking for a good condition Whirl, make sure you check that these are present. Otherwise, he will not hold the weapons very well. And this, my friends, concludes my review of the Generation 1 Autobot Aerial Assault Whirl. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up there on YouTube, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button down below and leave some comments. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.